So this exercise is very simple, and again it's after we've got a decent warm-up, and it's about that through ball. So we can see here that it's essentially just a short, long. And what I was really asking my players to focus on was the weight and the direction of the pass and the timing of this run. Very simple. When that ball goes through, take a couple of touch, hit the next man. Everyone just moves around the exercise anti-clockwise, so they would just step to the right, and here, and then they become the runner and move on. This is, as I said, a simple exercise, but it is the start of what I wanted the players to do. I had them going for a few minutes, added in a third and fourth football to try and increase the speed of play, get them thinking a little bit quicker as well, and then I asked them to come up with their own passing pattern. I said the one condition that they had to put in there was a through ball, something that someone had to run into, just not hitting feet every time. And they took a couple of minutes to decide on it, walk through a couple of options, and then they came up with a pattern of their own. Now, this was actually the second thing that we did in the session, as I said here at the bottom. Section 1 was tactical movement. So it was just getting players on the field and walking through what I wanted them to do, where, when and how. The next part of this session started off with a possession game, and the conditions, as you can see here, if your team keep possession of the ball for 6 seconds after regaining it, then you get a point. If you're the team to lose the ball, if you regain it within 6 seconds, you get a point, and then if you keep it again for that 6 seconds, you get another point. So this was a very, very intense game. There was a lot of transition, and it was quick transition. This is probably one of the most high intensity games that I had actually done, and we ended up playing for possibly too long. We ended up going for 10 minutes, and then we had a short break. Then we went back in to play another segment, and from there it just opened out into an open game. I did ask the players when they moved into the game to try and keep the elements of that transition. Lose the ball, how quickly can we press it? And when we win the ball back, can we create bodies around the ball to give them options to keep it, get comfortable control, and then can we play out? The next session starts off with a bit of a throw-in warm-up. We've done this one before. The players in the middle initially had 2 touches to control and pass back. The red team here would then come in, do the same thing. When the blue team back in, they had 1 touch to pass the ball back, and the third progression is to control the ball, dribble through the traffic, and then find someone who doesn't have a ball on the outside to go and pass to. For the first 2 sections, we're asking the guys to do their dynamic warm-up, the FIFA 11 type things. For this one, it's a 3v2 plus 1 recovery, so each group has 3 players, and initially the red team, they would dribble up. Whichever player hits a shot, and it doesn't matter if the shot is scored or not, they've got to go around the back of the goal. As soon as that shot is hit, the blue team get a chance to attack. And I'm asking them to do it at pace. Can you try and get a shot away before the recovering defender comes back to make it a 3v3? So these guys are asked to either dribble quickly, pass quickly, just get the ball from one side of the pitch to the other. When they do, when that player hits a shot, or whichever player hits a shot, they then need to go around the back of the goal, and when that shot is hit, the next red team go. We played 3 sets, and we did 4 minutes, 3 minutes and 3 minutes. Again, this is quick transitions. It is very, very difficult. Play with the size of the area, play with the width. I think when I was doing this, I was looking at about 20 to 25, depending on the 2 teams that I was working with, a couple of years of a difference. So 20 to 25 yards in length and 15 to 18 yards in width. I love this little game because it allows for constant and fluid changes in the dynamic of the game. So the exercise, the way that I've shown it here, is the blue player at the bottom is looking for a passing option, the red intercepts it, and the blue player needs to come out to do a punishment. Now the punishments that I generally use are keepy-ups, certain skill moves, squats, lunges, something that won't take too long, and that they can just go to the side of the pitch, get it done, and then get back into the game. I'd always encourage the team, have a look and see where that player steps out of the game, and the reason they step out of the game is because they've lost it, whether that is bad pass, dribbling the ball and being tackled. I normally don't give a punishment for a shot off target, but I have done that with one of my higher skilled teams in the past. See where that player has left a gap, and when you've got the overload, can you exploit that gap? Can you exploit that overload? Much like an ice hockey power play. This is an exercise that I've been using a lot recently, and in this one it was 3 options. I have been told that when Madrid's first team were doing this exercise, they play the 7 or 9 game. So that's looking for 7 options or 9 options, which I think is absolutely phenomenal. However, I started off with just 3 passing options. Can the player on the ball, when I call stop, point to those 3 passing options? In recent weeks, I've actually progressed that to say, you need to tell me who the person is. The next step on from that is, where are the 3 passing options, who are the 3 passing options, and are they looking for the ball into feet or into space? So it's getting more complicated, more complex as we move on. The final session for this week started off with a tactical element, and we were trying to set traps. And you can see that in the middle of the field I've got a highlighted box, and that box is just to try and get the opposition to pass in there. As soon as the ball goes into that area, my guys know it's 100% get in there, don't give them an inch of space, and try and win it back. This passing pattern, follow the numbers for the passes, follow the letters for the player movement. That's as simple as that. You'll see that the first one is a long pass, get it lofted, get it in the air, and then I'm asking the player from A to B, that's your sprint. That is where I'm trying to get the players up to full speed and going as quick as they can. Play with the guys in the middle. You'll see that I've got C going towards the ball. I want that player to be big and loud and ask for it to try and drag the opposition player out of the space to create a passing channel for that ball into D. Quick turn, lay off, and then pass out to the other side. Play around with the patterns. I did ask the players again. You've got a couple of seconds. Talk amongst yourselves, and then give me something different. It essentially has to be a longer pass, an interchange, and then the ball back out. What are you going to do to change that? One of the things that I've also done in the past is when the ball goes from A to B, that player actually doesn't follow that side of the pattern. They go to the other side and then they complete the movements through the spaces there. You could do that after that first pass, you could do it after the last pass. You might not do it at all. You might just ask your players on one side to right-footed, on one side to left-footed longer passes, and then change halfway through your time. The game that we finished up with was a 9-a-side, and I slanted the teams one way. One team was more defensive-minded players, the other team was more attacking-minded players, and I asked them to hit specific targets, thinking about the things that we had done over the past week. When the ball is in this area or that area, can I see you do this or that? And that was again specific to those attacking-minded players, or if it was specific to those defensive-minded players. We just finished up playing an open game. That's the 3 sessions for the week. Hope you can take something from that, guys. Cheers.